What's up mga kachirina? Let us continue our discussion for today regarding solving quadratic equation using factoring. But this time, we are focusing our discussion on the class 2 equations. So what are the conditions under the class 2 equations? Here are the conditions. Under the class 2 condition, the middle term of a quadratic equation is negative. As you see in our screen, the middle term is negative. What are the factors of this class 2 equations or class 2 equations of quadratic equation? Factors are two negative binomial. And what about the roots? The roots are all positive integers or positive numbers. Now, without further ado, let us continue our discussion for today in solving these types of quadratic equation under class 2. So let's begin our discussion on the board. So let's have now our first example, which is x squared minus 5x plus 6 equals to 0. So again, I just want to remind you that under class 2 equation, we should have to look at the middle term. The middle term is negative. So yun lang yung kaibahan niya sa class 1 equation. So this time, we're going to factor this equation. Okay. So we know that x here, so we're going to distribute 2x to the quantity. And then we're going to factor 6. The factor of 6 is, for this case, it is 3 and 2. Now, since the middle term is negative, as we said earlier in our condition, the class 2 equations contains two negative binomial. So the binomial contains the negative sign. So this is. And then we're going to solve each binomial. So this is x minus 2 is equals to 0. And then x minus 3 is equals to 0. And then this x is equals to 2. And then x is equals to 3. So here x of 1 is equals to negative or to positive 2. And x sub 2 is equals to 3. So the value of x is 2, 3. So that is. So if we're going to examine, the roots are all positive. The binomial factor contains negative signs, and the middle term here contains the negative sign. Let us now proceed to our next example, which is x squared minus 9x is equals to negative 14. If we're going to look our equation here, our quadratic equation, it is not written in its standard form. So all we have to do is to write this into standard form. So writing this is x squared minus 9x plus 14 is equals to 0. Because we transpose negative 14 to the other side, to the right side, so this will become positive 14 and it's equal to 0. Again, let us continue by factoring this trinomial, or this quadratic equation rather. So this is x here and x here. Again, it contains two negative signs because it is under class 2 equation. Factor of 14 is 7 and 2. So that is the factor. Now, solving these two equation or these two binomial, we have here x minus 7 is equals to 0 and x minus 2 is equals to 0. This is x sub 1 is equals to 7, then x sub 2 is equals to 2. So the value of x is 7 and 2. So again, it suffices the condition under class 2. It contains the equation that has a negative sign or negative terms at the middle term. It contains two binomial which contains the negative sign, and of course the roots are all positive. X plus 6 is equals to 0. So again, it is under class 2 equation. Why? Because the middle term contains the negative sign. And only the middle term contains the negative sign. So that's the condition na only the middle term contains the negative sign. So let's now factor this equation. Okay. So factors of 2, of course, that is 2 and 1. So instead of writing 1x, so we put here only x, and this is 2x. Now, factors of 6. Factors of 6 can be, it can be 1 times 6, it can be 3 and 2. So careful by choosing the right factor. If we're going to put 6 here, let's say 6 here, and 1 here, and both contains negative sign. Okay, by examining this, by checking, using multiplying inner terms and outer terms, so we have here 6 times 2 is 12, then negative 12, x times negative 1 is negative 1, so negative 12 minus negative 1, that's negative 13. So it does not get the middle term. So therefore, 1 and 6 are not the best factor for this equation. So cross out natin yung 1 and 6. So what will be the factor? That is 3 and 2. Now, again as we have discussed in our first class, our class 1 equation, we should have to get what we call the best partner in these types of factoring. Kasi minsan, if you're going to place a number in two binomial here, there are times na hindi nila makukuha yung middle terms. Let's say we're going to put 3 here, or 3 here, and 2 here. Okay, so how to check? So you're going to multiply the inner terms here. This is negative 4, and this is negative 4x rather, and this is negative 3x. So if we're going to add this one, is negative 7x. So it is what we call it. Get the middle term. So it means that our factor is right. So x minus 2 and 2x minus 3 is the right factor for this equation. So after getting the right factor, we're going now to continue to solve the value of x here. Again, is x minus 2 is equals to 0. Then 2x minus 3 is equals to 0. So this is x is equals to 2. And this is 2x minus 3 is equals to 0. Then divide both sides, or no. So then 2x is equals to 3. We transpose first 3 here. So this time we're going to divide both sides by 2. Why 2? Because we have to isolate x so that we can solve the value of x here. So x is equals to 3 over 2. So what will be the value of x? X is equals to 2, then 3 over 2. Again, as we said earlier in our condition, the roots are all positives, the factors contains a negative sign, and the middle term, only the middle term is negative in this class 2 equation of quadratic equation.